All right, what's going on, YouTube? Jack Catterall, Josh Taylor, undisputed fight this past weekend. You know, it's crazy because I knew Jack Catterall was going to be a pain for Josh Taylor, but not on this level. You know, I thought that just like we seen in his past fights that were tough against Regis Prograis and Victor Postal, especially in the Victor Postal fight where I thought Victor Postal was winning and Josh Taylor made the proper adjustments. I thought that this fight here was gonna be similar to the Victor Postal fight with Josh Taylor. You know, I knew Josh Taylor was going to struggle against Jack Catterall because of his defense, you know, because of his precision and everything, his timing. I knew it was going to be a struggle, but I thought Josh Taylor was going to do enough to change the fight, especially with the pressure. You know, with Josh Taylor, as good of a fighter he is, he can be outboxed. You know, he definitely can be outpointed. And with this one, I expected that, but I thought that Josh would just find adjustments to take over, possibly drop in and hurt in Jack Catterall at some point. You know, even if it went to a decision, I thought it would be a clear decision, and it didn't go that way. Jack Catterall did better against Josh Taylor than any other fighter up to this point. Even the fighters that's done more on paper, like Jose Ramirez and Regis Prograis and Victor Poso, all these guys did much more on paper. But in that ring that night, Jack Catterall had his number, you know, and Josh tried to be more aggressive, but he wasn't scoring the shots. This is the thing, and this is what I said about the Jacobs and the John Ryder fight. It's one thing to be aggressive. It's one thing to be a bully in there, but you got to still be effective. You know, you got to land clean. And Jack was not having it. Yes, it was a wrestling match. It was a lot of hugging going on. But Jack, whenever Josh came in, Jack will just smother all of Josh Taylor's punches, move in with that shoulder, right? He would move right in, and then they would tie up every single time. And Josh just couldn't get the punches off. It's nothing. Listen, you can be as aggressive as you want to be, but you still got to land clean, effective shots. And Josh Taylor did not do that in that fight. All right. The rounds I did give him is because he was just doing more to Jack Catterall, because Catterall was taking the round off or whatever. He wasn't throwing as much punches, but when he did throw his punches, he was landing clean. He even scored a knockdown in this fight. Josh Taylor did not win this fight. He did not win it. You know, I even had to go back and watch it. He did not win this fight. He did not win this fight. And it's messed up because, I mean, it's just messed up. You know, I just don't see it in any way where Josh won the fight. I can't believe that these judges scored it like that. I think when the fight was over, I expected like a draw or a Josh Taylor, especially when they take a long time to get those scorecards together. I just knew that something was going to come up. I knew that they weren't going to give the fight to Jack Catterall. They just weren't going to do it. You know, Andre Ward and his scorecard, I don't know what's going on with him. But at the end of the day, Josh Taylor didn't win the fight. That's his gift. A lot of fighters get them, you know, especially a lot of champions and guys that are future legends, you know. But he didn't win that fight. You know, he didn't win. Is it the worst robbery I've ever seen? No. But it is a robbery. It is. It is. It's not right. Jack Catterall won the fight, you know. And I thought he won it pretty clear. Plus, he scored a knockdown. He scored the knockdown. So what happens from here? Well, I would love to see Jack Catterall in there with the best at 140. You know, if it's Jose Cepeda, Regis Prograis, you know, any of these guys that's moving up from 135, Jack Catterall is a guy that we got to keep an eye on now. You know, recently saw Antoine Russell win against Victor Postal. All of these fights are good. I would love to see Jack in there with any of the best of them. Man, sharp puncher, you know, great defense. His defense, I mean, I was tweeting throughout the fight. His defense is on point. On point. Very good defense. I like him, you know. Not exciting, not super exciting, but, you know, very highly technical, good timing, good defense. I like it, you know, and I would love to see a rematch. You know, I think he definitely deserves a rematch, but, Josh wants to go up to 147. And listen, I would love all these fighters to more come in at 147. Virgil Ortiz, he wants to fight Bud, Bud Crawford. I didn't think he ever would beat Bud before or after this fight. There was no point. I know they were both undisputed at 140, and I do like Josh Taylor's run at 140 better because of who he faced. But as far as like him being better than Bud, it was no point where I ever thought that Josh Taylor would be a good, we could beat a Bud. I'm leaning towards Ortiz and beating Josh Taylor. I'm leaning towards Boots and beating Josh Taylor. I mean, I would have told you this before this fight with Jack Catterall. I like Josh. I like what he's done at 140. Again, he's beaten some really good Ramirez. All these guys are really, really good fighters. But 147 is a different beast. It's just totally different. And it's not many fighters that can do what they did at 140 and could come up and do the very same thing. Bud is doing it. Tim Bradley did his thing when he moved up to 147. But if you look at guys like a Danny Garcia, Lamont Peterson, Devin Alexander, over the past few generations, these guys weren't really able to cut it when they moved up to 140, or 147. All right, from 140, so Josh, if he's gonna move up, which I think he should, he has to know that this is just a taste of what you're gonna get at 147. You're gonna deal with bigger guys with bigger power, with boxing ability, So going straight to Bud, I feel him for doing it. I give him a lot of credit for taking that challenge, but maybe he shouldn't go straight at Bud. Maybe try and get a fight with Conor Ben. That would be great. Virgil Ortiz, that would be great. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that are available. Maybe a Keith Thurman, maybe a Kell Brook. Those are fights. I know I'm not gonna bring up the business. I'm just talking about fights that I would love to see. Even if guys are fighting on different networks and all of that stuff. All right. But anyway, Catterall, solid, good performance from him. I know it was a lot of holding and stuff like that, but he did what he had to do to win. And I thought he won pretty clearly. 7 rounds to 5, maybe even 8 rounds to 4. Couple swing rounds in there. But there's no way that I could watch that fight and think that Josh Taylor won. Or even that Josh Taylor made it a draw, forced a draw. You gotta still land clean shots. You just can't be aggressive. You gotta land. You know what I'm saying? So that's my views on the fight. And subscribe, and I'll be back with another one soon. Peace.